Hey, Scott here with Scott's Thoroughbred Restorations. Today I'm taking apart a original 64.5 Mustang fuel sending unit, and this was working fine when I took it off the car. Since then, it's sat on the workbench here, and I've tested it, and it seemed to work fine. And then I started picking this up and turning it in different positions, and I noticed that I started getting some binding inside here. So I decided to take it apart and find out what was going on. I intend to reuse this on this Thoroughbred K-Code Mustang that I'm working on here. And it's actually, I'll show you this. It's the end of this has got the original stamping marks and part number for this car. I've simply cleaned it off. I really haven't done anything other than just clean a little bit. It looks pretty good. A little more work and this will be ready to go on. Pretty cool. It has the original date code for this car. This car was built sometime in June of 1964, and it's dated F4, which is June 64. Ford logo and all that. Really pretty neat to find one of these that works correctly. However, it probably wouldn't have continued working correctly for very long had I not taken this apart and looked inside of this little housing here, which was completely full of rust, a rusty kind of powder. You can see it's kind of caked on the side here. Leaving that stuff in there is just like having sand inside this thing. Eventually, this little armature that's on here, this little guy right here, is going to wear out. That little tiny point on there, which is the main contact point, eventually will wear out and this thing will not work anymore. Let's see if we get it to focus. There we go. So what we're going to do is clean all this stuff out of here and reassemble this. I'm not going to try and make it look pretty. We want it to be functional, and I'll tell you, the more you mess around with the internal parts of these things, the more likely it is you're going to have a problem with it. These things are extremely fragile in here. These little wires inside this, if you can see that, are very, very fine, very, very easily broken, and once broken, difficult or impossible to fix. At least not at a significant cost to have somebody actually take that apart, take those rivets out, rewind that whole thing, and then hope that you've done it in such a way that it will work the way it did originally. You can see the distance and spacing between each one of those wires. Kind of hard to see, but that's how the resistance is changed and how it follows a certain pattern, so that fuel needle sweeps out a indication that's consistent with the shape of the gas tank and how the fuel goes down in it. So anyway, so this stuff in here is what we got to get rid of. There was just a lot of it. It's sort of a reddish, that was rust that had accumulated inside the gas tank and deposited in here because this thing sits in there kind of at this orientation, and you can see, so it would all those solids pooled right in there. And in the course of moving this around and on the workbench after taking it out, everything dried out and got all over the place. So we're going to clean that out with some a brush and then some compressed air, and then we'll put the thing back together.